Ciao a tutti! Hello everyone, I'm Melissa Mezzalira, founder of CatsEssentials. Today I am so honored to be joined by Julie Ann Lee, the founder of Adored Beast Apothecary. Julie Ann is a pioneering voice in holistic pet health with decades of experience as a practitioner and as an educator. She's dedicated her career to supporting our pets' health naturally with species-appropriate solutions. And for that, I really have to thank you for creating feline-specific products because it's not always the case with other companies. And thank you for being here. Welcome, Julie Ann.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Julie Ann, before we dive in, I just wanted to say how much I admire your work, especially what you have created with Adored Beast. I also deeply respect that, just as CatsEssentials, every choice you make about Adored Beasts avoids harming the environment, proving that we can protect our pets and also the planet at the same time.
I think the biggest thing with anything like that, that was a natural progression because my mother was very a strong environmentalist. I think that our disassociation of how everything is connected is one of the things that we go really sideways with, right? Like, that we're disconnected to, planet, that we're disconnected to farm animals, wildlife, the environment or anything, like we're not. We're all one, and what affects one thing negatively will affect the next thing. Like we share the planet with everything. So it's so cool. So when you are very, very strict about what your ingredients are and how you source your ingredients and how we go through that is a very diligent process. How they collect water, do they companion plant, are they, the list goes on and on. And when you actually purchase those herbs or whatever we're purchasing, the actual herbs themselves then are healthier, right? They are much more beneficial for the body. So we're helping we're helping the planet. We're helping, which helps people. Then we're helping our pets because what we're feeding our pets has more plant wisdom. It has more, less chemicals. It's just this big circle, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I always say that, where everything is interconnected. And so
Yeah.
as we help our pets and their health, we're helping ourselves and we're helping our planet. So
Yes.
I totally
Yes,
agree
for
with that.
sure.
All right, so let's dive in. You've been working with pets and you've been involved with holistic pet care for so long.
Time.
Can you
Yes.
share a little bit about your background and specifically your experience with cats? Because I am so excited today. It's all about cats.
Yes, for sure. Well, I opened the very first licensed holistic veterinary hospital in Canada. And quite quickly, I had one of the largest veterinary practices, period, an integrative hospital that did conventional rehab, water therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic, surgery. Like we basically did everything. It was a huge, huge, huge practice. And I was in practice for 26 years, I guess. And I went through a very interesting, I was a conventional vet tech initially, and my dog got cancer. Was raised very holistically, like super. My grandma's Yugoslavian and my dad's side is Irish and very lots of, we weren't vaccinated as kids or anything. Quite the opposite of what was happening when with all my friends. So, but when I started becoming a tech, I really jumped fence and I focused on conventional medicine and vaccinating and all that stuff. And quite quickly, we could see on our farm that the animals were getting sicker, right? Not healthier. When I was telling my grandma, don't feed real food and vaccinate everything and blah 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 blah. So my dog got cancer, and I decided to go the holistic route because he had a very, very bad prognosis, and there was no way I was going to do chemo and everything with him. And it's kind of like I shifted right back into my more holistic roots, if you want to call them that. And incredible as it was, they really, really didn't think he had much more than 4 months to live, and he lived till he was 14, and he was 4 when he got it. So that whole experience moved me into looking at working with animals holistically. But I didn't actually want to work with animals at that time. I was a head tech for a long time, and I was sort of discouraged by what I was seeing, right? Animals not living as long, animals having chronic disease. Every time I mentioned it or talked about it, it was like, shunned or whatever. So I thought I was going to be either a chiropractor, human chiropractor, or a midwife or something. And I got sick when I went to Spain, and I was treated by a homeopath in the hospital. And it just changed my life. Like I immediately wanted to find out about homeopathy because it was a chronic problem that I had for a long time. So, very fast forward, I was going to go to England, but all my animals would have been had to go in quarantine. And then UBC, British Columbia, started a 4-year human homeopathic medicine program. So I flew out and I applied and I got in, and within, days, I knew I wanted to do it with animals. So after that, I went to England. I did the human one and graduated with the human program. But then I went to England for 3 years and did the British Homeopathic Veterinary Surgeons program in England. It just went off from there. So, but my involvement with cats was a lot. Like I saw a lot of animals. When I sold my practices, I was shocked to find out that I had worked with and treated more than like close to 40,000 animals,
Wow.
37,000. And in amongst those animals, and I had, I at one point I had 4 clinics. So a lot of veterinarians and a lot of support staff and a lot of, wonderful technicians and stuff. But personally, that's what I saw. But I was the head, we were the main veterinary hospital for Vancouver Orphan Kitten Rescue.
Mm.
So we worked with all of their cats, and so probably about over 2,000 a year. So I got to see everything from like ferals to, like orphans that were being tube fed, which is how they started off. It's an incredibly amazing rescue. And to then it graduated into all different cats, all different diseases, cats being rehomed because they had, chronic feline upper respiratory, or they had, whatever, that couldn't cope with them any longer. So I got to see a lot of different things with cats and experience a lot of stuff. And I saw a lot of cat patients that nobody else could fix, right? Or nobody else could work with. And people were at their end of their rope, and brought them to us as sort of a last resort, which was often the case in the first 5 years of practice. And then after that, it wasn't that way at all. But so I have really a lot of experience with cats, and I've had cats growing up my whole life.
Wow, that must have
I have
been
nine
heartbreaking at the
cats right
beginning.
now.
Oh, wow, you do.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, I can imagine it must have been heartbreaking at the beginning. Our pets just, they mean so much to us, and sometimes you feel like powerless if you can't do anything to help them. Because of that, I think talking about the uniqueness of our cats and to start to dive into our topic of toxins, I think that many people don't realize that cats are often more exposed and more sensitive to toxins than we are, you know,
Yeah.
partially because of their biological structure, partially because their grooming habits, because of how much time they spend in close contact with surfaces that could be actually toxic. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, at the end, they even act as chemical sentinels for us because they get affected before us. And it's not just about what they eat or what they drink, but it's so much environmental toxins. So they're exposed, the air they breathe, the surfaces they touch, the fabrics they sleep on. There are so
Every,
many, I call them hidden dangers out there that, we don't see them, but they're everywhere.
yeah.
So when we talk about toxins in a cat's life, what are we really talking about?
What you just said was really important because added stress of toxins with cats is because a lot of cats don't go outside. They don't have the ability to have fresh air. They might have like a window open or something, but they don't, they can't go on a balcony. They can't detoxify almost by just even going out and getting fresh air. So they're surrounded 24/7 with like, hormone disruptors and all different kinds of chemicals. But when you said about cats, showing stuff quicker, there used to be a term, it's a terrible term, but it's an actual true term was called canary in the coal mine. And they used to take a canary down in a cage into the coal mine. And if the canary died, they knew that there was, I forget which toxin it was, or not enough oxygen. And it meant that all the men had to leave, right? And this was before they had like CO2 alerts and things like this. And the sad thing is that we look at our cats and our cats are over grooming or they're getting fur balls or they're scratching the furniture and it almost is like, oh, it's a behavior thing, which lots of times it can be. And they don't get to be cats. It's horses and cats. Dogs are a little luckier because dogs can go places with their owners, and people are getting more and more organized to like take dogs to the forest and socialize their dogs and things like that. But horses and cats are very confined and they live in a very unnatural environment.
Right.
So already their cortisol levels are higher than they probably should be. And we're not taught, even in like vets aren't taught, technicians aren't taught to really understand what a cat's behavior when is a cat actually showing that it's not feeling well?
Right.
What are the signs and symptoms that a cat's actually not at its prime? They're used to it just like hanging out on the bed or going under the bed or, like a lot of cats aren't visually at their prime even, so that you wouldn't even know, like they quite quickly are not in their prime.
Right.
I mean, cats are very active, right? That's the other thing. They're active at night. They're supposed to be active at night. That's when we're sleeping. So, you have a one household cat and, they're jumping on the bed and they're kneading you and, they're tearing around the house or whatever. And it's disruptive and people think that, my gosh, my cat's like drives me nuts at night. It's like, no, your cat's actually being normal,
Yeah.
right? Like this is what a cat's supposed to do. So I think that there's a lot of suppression with cats, more so than other pets.
Right.
Well, dogs. Let's just say dogs. Definitely more suppression than with dogs and horses.
And I think that that's why, as cat parents, is kind of our job to help them to create an environment, that is friendly for them, that they have the ability to jump up and down, that they have the ability to have fresh air, or like I placed an air purifier, right, especially in the
Yeah.
room where they spend most of their time.
Yeah.
There are little adjustments that we can do in our home to help them that will go a long way, for their health. And I
Lots
also
of
think like
things.
the bad part, I feel that is also that most of those long-term health issues, it takes a long time before they even start to show up, even if you do blood work. So, by the time we find out that they have hyperthyroidism or something, it's probably already been going on for a long time.
Yeah, and usually a really long time because cats hide their stuff way more than dogs do. Cats
Right.
are a lot more introverted in some ways when it comes to stuff like that than a dog is. And I also feel like cats present differently than dogs. So people are more used to seeing something and recognizing something with their dog than they would be with their cats.
Right.
And exactly like you said, it's they're sleeping on the couch that has fire retardants on it. They're walking on the floor and then they groom way more than dogs do. So, and then they groom if they're stressed even more, right? So they're even more grooming if they're bored or they're stressed. And they're licking more chemicals than you can even possibly imagine. So, yes, there are indicators that, oh, maybe something's wrong in my house, but they're also, I always say that, when you really pay attention to the health of your animal, you're paying attention to your own health because what's bad for them is bad for you. Even believe it or not, even like shampoo, like cream that you put on your own bodies, fabric softeners, floor cleaners, scented candles, the list goes on and on and on of what is really toxic, environmentally toxic, that is really environmentally toxic for us as well. Like hugely, we just don't, our cellular, like the way our cells are living and dying, aren't as fast as the cats and dogs because our life expectancy is longer. So it takes longer, but still, even to be really honest with you, even doctors don't know this, right? Like for people. So I always say that our animals are our guides to a better quality of life, being healthier. They're kind of these little angel things that come into our lives to teach us about everything, really. So you add all of that stuff up in your house, and then you add on top of that the food, right? On top of that, their inability really to like tear around the house or scratch properly, or the list goes on and on. When the stress levels are higher, toxins are going to then be even more dangerous. The environmental toxins are even going to play a heavier load, right? Because things that cause disease and cellular destruction are toxins, environmental, everything that we just talked about actually creates oxidative stress, not only our hormone disruptors and carcinogenics, right? So you're looking at hormone disruptors, you're looking at carcinogenics, you're looking at neurotoxins. All of those things are in our day-to-day stuff, right? So like I said, you buy a new couch, it's got fire retardant on it, which is really, really, really harmful. There's so many things, but then we have our everyday pollution, right? We have our everyday stuff that's in the water. We have the everyday stuff that's in their food. So oxidative stress happens. It destroys the cells become it destroys cells. That's what it does, right? It mutates them, it kills them. We need to have the idea in mind that we need to try and protect the cells and prevent oxidative stress in our cells. And the other thing that causes oxidative stress is stress as well. So when you're looking at a kitty that's by himself 19 hours a day in a house, it doesn't have a friend to play with, or it can't get outside and chase a bird or a mouse or whatever. It just piles up, right? And more things pile up till finally you're up here and then it just breaks.
Right.
So, there's a lot. I think cats have a harder time
Mhm.
than, like I said, than dogs do.
Right. And I think it's very important that we're talking about all of this because I think, most of us don't really realize how much it is around us. Like you mentioned, the scented candles or the fabrics or, like I switched the detergent I wash my cat bedding with because, we want to have the good smelling fragrance and all of that for our clothes. Our cats don't know wanna they don't need the good smell. They just need the things to be
No,
clean. So
yeah,
I switched to enzyme-based detergent. Those little things, it's important that we know about because they can affect them like long term, and we can help them immensely just by doing this, little. So if you have to say what do you what would you suggest as safer or like more pet friendly alternatives to all of the household products or everything that is around us, their beds where they sleep, their litter box, their toys? What should we tell cat parents to do to help them with their cat's health?
yeah. So if you do a bunch of little things, it's going to make a big impact, right? So the most you can do, like cleaning your floor, right? They're on the floor, cleaning your furniture. They're on your furniture, your rugs. So when you're cleaning something, like that, or even their dishes or their water bowls, make sure that they're really rinsed. But cleaning agents that are on the floors and like, what are they called? Like Febreze mops and things like that, right? That pick up pet hair, right? They have them for pet hair. And they have that smell and whatever. I can't even tell you how bad that is for cats. It is beyond imaginable. One, cats and dogs have like 300 times the scent that we do.
Right.
So if we smell something, it is so overwhelming to an animal and so unhealthy and so not pleasant for them. So I can never really separate the emotional state from the physical state, right? Like I just feel like they
Right.
have to go hand in hand. There's no way a cat is going to enjoy the smell that's that powerful from
Right.
anything. It's
Right.
going to be a stressor for them, for sure. And then them being, like I said, neurotoxic, hormone disruptors, carcinogenic, right? You're adding all of that. So I would be using like going and buying green products, like true green products. And you can just look on the on the labels of things where, I have all kinds of animals in my house, like tons of animals in my house. And I have a cleaner because I work so much, but they use vinegar and water is 90% of what I use all the time. And I actually use apple cider vinegar and water. So it's antifungal, antibacterial. It's what I mostly use in the house to clean. And, I feed raw food. I'm not worried about raw food. Just go down the section of your grocery store or go online or go on whatever, however you purchase your products and find the ones that are the most natural and not just that look pretty natural because
Right.
most of the
Yeah.
time that's not true.
Yeah.
Read the label, make sure that it's, specifically says no chemicals or no fragrances. It should be as fragrant free as possible. And if it's not, then if people can find at least something that has true essential oils in it, right? So they're using essential oils, which are very powerful for cats too, but it's still better than chemical fragrances.
Right. Yeah, because I feel sometimes the term pet friendly has been overused, and when you actually go and read what's in there, it's not pet friendly at all.
No, I'll say this right now. I would only purchase something if people don't know what to buy. I would go to a health food store and buy my cleaners from a health food store and say to people, "Can you point out to me which has the least fragrance, the least hormone disruptors, the least carcinogenics?" And they'll be able to tell you which one's the cleanest. And that's the way I would go. Or if you look at organic baby cleaners.
Hmm.
Those are pretty safe for babies, and if it says organic on it. If you've just bought a couch, right, and you don't have company and people aren't around or whatever, if you've just bought a couch and you're pretty sure all you have to do is smell it and you
Hmm.
can smell
Yeah.
that chemical or just ask, does it have look underneath if it has a fire retardant in it? If so, then if your cat lies on your couch or wherever your cat's lying in general, I just recommend 100% cotton sheets, right? Or cotton covers to go over. And then if you have company, you just take them off,
Hmm.
right? But the majority of the time, your cat's not exposed to like breathing that in
Right.
cleaning itself after it's been lying on it and stuff.
Well, that's exactly why I created Cats Essentials, because I felt like all of these cat beds and beddings or surfaces where cats sleep, we don't realize, first of all, they sleep for some long hours and they're, breathing it, they're licking it. And so all of these toxins are in their body. So,
Yeah,
just by placing an organic blanket or a pad or something, even if they don't sleep in a proper bed, but they have like a surface in between, that
yeah,
at least they're not in direct contact with all of that
contact.
toxins
Yeah.
that's going to end up in their system.
Yes, for
Sure.
sure. 100%. And what are you feeding them on? I like glass or china. Usually is what I use. I don't ever use
Yeah.
plastic. making sure their plates are flat plates and not bowls. And then I started really looking into it. It can cause ataxia, it can cause being dizzy, it can cause all kinds of things that when its whiskers got pushed back when it was eating, it would throw up.
Hmm.
You know, there's so many, so, plates should be flat. They should be either china or they should be glass. They shouldn't be plastic. Even, I don't even like PVA-free plastic really for food. The more natural the ingredient is, or the more natural the plate is, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an extremely important point, which another one that sometimes, we don't think about it.
No. And
Yeah.
like candles, beeswax candles, right?
Mhm.
Beeswax candles they smell really nice, but they don't have fragrances.
And no
Um,
air fresheners.
No air. Do you know actually what air fresheners are? Do you know what most fragrances are?
No.
So they're similar. They aren't really what you're smelling.
Hmm.
They are actually something that tricks your brain into thinking it smells like that.
Oh, wow.
And it's the same with flavors. So a flavor, if you're buying your cat food and it says chicken flavor, right? Or beef flavor or tuna flavor. The minute it says flavor, instead of it, if it says flavored with tuna, or if it says flavored with chicken or whole chicken or whatever, that's different. But the minute you see flavor after a name, 90% of the time it's a chemical that triggers your brain, like perfume, to
Right.
think that it's tasting like chicken or lemon or whatever. So, like with our cat products, we wanted to put a something in it that make it taste better for them, right? And I found out so much about perfumes and flavors and stuff when I looked into this because I purchased this all natural beef flavor,
Mm.
right? And we purchased it and then I got the COA and all ready to do the production and mix it and everything. And I read the COA and I'm like, hold on, stop. I don't see beef anywhere on this. I just keep seeing beef flavor, but what does it originate from? So I had my team call them and rate them and whatever, and they kept coming back with, oh, it's a natural beef flavor. I'm like, but what is why don't I see the word cow on this certificate of analysis? Where is it? Well, there is no cow in it. I'm
Mm.
like, what does that mean? I actually had to talk to one of the researchers for them to even tell me. So I found out a lot through that they can call it legally natural chicken, natural fish, natural anything flavor. That ingredient does not have to be in it. It's a chemical reaction to make it taste like beef, chicken, tuna, shrimp,
Yeah.
whatever.
And I think pet food is that's a whole different chapter. But
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
even when you think about byproduct and all of that, there are so many terms that you really don't know what's in your pet's food. So,
Yeah. So we now use actual glandulars. So
mhm.
we purchase beef liver glandular. So you're actually in the food, it not only, or in the supplement, not only does it have a real thing in it, but it actually contributes to a functional medicine in the product. So,
Right.
but
Well, that's wonderful.
there's really lots to unpack when we're
Yeah,
thinking about
it
environmental
is
toxins.
true. It is true. So as we've been talking about toxins and detoxification, to me, detoxification is really like cleansing the body from the inside with the proper nutrition, the proper products, and then detoxifying from the outside by trying to reduce as much as we can the hidden toxins in our homes. So
Yeah.
when it comes to now your work, what role can supplements play in supporting our cats' bodies' detoxification processes?
There's a lot. So when we look at different like detoxification processes, do detox is a great thing, but we also want to support the body to not even have to detox,
Mhm.
right? So we want to support it to be able to handle and use its brilliance with its physiology to know exactly what it's supposed to do, right? So again, we want to make sure that we are protecting the animal cells because the cells are everywhere in the body. So I did, cancer research with Dalhousie University. And when you look and see what happens to a cell when a cell gets inflamed and oxidized, there kind of isn't a detoxification process for that, right? The process is giving the cells what it needs so that it can do its job and protect itself.
Right.
So that's things like antioxidants, high polyphenols, high beta glucans, so that the cells can actually. What happens is as we age, when we're around environmental toxins, when we have stuff in our food and our water, we're being, and then you add, if people are doing flea control and vaccinations and all the stuff that is so toxic for their bodies, the cells kind of go, cells are wired to survive. No matter what, our cells are wired to survive so that we don't die, right? That's what they do. And what I believe happens with cancer and chronic disease through my research is that the cells are so overwhelmed and they're dying at such a rate that they go into this sort of high alert and start replicating cells as fast as they can, faster than they are supposed to. Those cells are become mutated. They're not normal cells, but the body's just doing what it thinks it needs to do, which is survive.
Mhm.
So when you interrupt that by adding things that support the body to attack or um, combat oxidative stress, you can interfere with the body then the body doesn't have to overreact like that and create the scenario of producing all of these cells unnaturally and unhealthy, like really not healthy mutated cells. So one thing is protecting our cells and our cat cells from everyday environmental stress, whether it's emotional stress, like I said, through food, through stuff that the cats are coming into contact with, or we're drive through a city, or we're walking to the city and we're dealing with pollution, like just the list goes on and on. So the adding the extra antioxidant value to our bodies and our cats' bodies will help to protect the cells from doing that. So that's one.
Mhm.
The next thing is our guts. So our cat's guts should be its skin and its gut is the very first thing that detoxifies. We all think it's the liver and the kidneys and gallbladder and things like that. It's not. It's our skin and our gut. If our skin and our gut are not, if the cat's skin doesn't have the proper microbiome, because the skin has a microbiome, if it's void of that microbiome because we're putting stuff on it and brushing stuff through it, um, then that destroys that. Or the gut doesn't have the proper microbiome and the proper um, the mucosal lining is fragile, right? Then the toxins slip through the mucosal lining and go right into the bloodstream instead of being, goes through the feces or the urine. So we want to make sure that their guts are really, really as healthy as they can possibly be. So, making sure that you're, you know, giving your cat things to support the mucosal lining of the gut, the gut integrity. So it's not leaking all of these toxins into the bloodstream.
Right.
Then certain toxins are going to get through into the bloodstream. And cats, we all know with cats too, with their kidneys are sensitive to things. So doing things that support the kidney and the liver and the pancreas, like milk thistle and berberis and chelidonium, and giving herbs that help support the body, the pancreas, the whole 9 yards. So it's cellular protection, um, making sure the gut microbiome is as healthy as it possibly can be, and then making sure that the liver and the kidneys and the pancreas and the gallbladder are all working to their optimum. So, from a supplement point of view, that should be the focus.
Right. Yeah. So we know that every cat is unique, and they have different needs based on their body. So would you say, like, what would be a few simple or practical ways that, cat parents could start integrating those supplements into their cat's daily routine?
So, I mean, I'm never simple. I mean, it is simple, but I'm
Yeah.
never simple. I think because I love rotating things. I feel like rotation is incredibly important, and we don't do enough of it with ourselves, and we don't do enough, definitely don't do it enough, especially with cats, because cats are picky. So
Mhm.
people are afraid, like, oh, great, she's eating this or he's eating this. I'm gonna keep her on this till she is, 20 years old. I'm not gonna change it. I'm not gonna like, don't change what's not broken kind of thing. But we have feline gut soothe, which is incredible for any cat that is showing any, fur balls or diarrhea or constipation. It's excellent for something like that. And then we have our feline, first and only um, cat specific probiotic, which is called Felix Flora. And Felix Flora is taken from the feces of cats. So, and it's isolated and turned into a probiotic. And the reason that we've done that is because the metabolomics of that speak to the diseases that cats get, right? Because it's from the cat species, it's from the feline species, not from a cow and not from a different species, which is what all the other probiotics are. And we've also put something in it called humic and fulvic acid. So humic and fulvic acid helps to support the mucosal lining of the gut. And then it also helps to detoxify. It works almost like a chelation, so it helps to draw out toxins through the intestine. So it's got larch and all kinds of different things. So it depends, like if you're just doing if you want a probiotic that's going to be something that supports the gut, then I would say Felix Flora, because it's got 14 strains of uh, feline appropriate, and then it has two strains of feline specific. So it's very focused on cats. So that would be something. Honestly, our liver tonic is like I wish every single cat in the world would be on liver tonic. Um, it's such a it's supportive, or even if you have a cat with kidney disease or liver disease or pancreatitis or anything, triditis, anything. And it's so gentle. Because that's the other thing I did want to say is that when we think about detoxification, I'm not a fan of detoxing and having the animal get sicker before they get better. I've never supported that ever. So, sometimes you can't help it. You don't realize how much yeast it has, or you don't realize how much whatever it has. But in general, that's never been my philosophy. My philosophy has always been as gentle as I possibly can, with the most healing and least negative reaction. So, putting a cat on liver tonic, 3 months on, 3 months off, 3 months on, 3 months off as a maintenance thing, or you can give it up to 3 times a day for geriatric cats or cats that you're concerned that could be potentially dealing with anything, with the kidneys, liver, pancreas, or gallbladder. When a cat has something going on with its liver or its pancreas, even more so than kidneys, unless it's in late stage kidney stuff, it can make them feel extremely nauseous and painful. So, one, the other thing that's incredible for cats is homeopathy
Mhm.
because it's so energetically friendly with cats. So anytime you have a cat that's sick with anything, whether it's anything, it doesn't even matter what it is. It could be anything. And if you feel like that cat is nauseous or at all painful or starts to get sort of lethargic or it's over grooming or it's kind of like hiding rather than being out or it's biting you. I have a bite on my hand from a cat. Uh, the product called Go To is really, really good for cats. Scared cats, cats that are ultra sensitive to things. We just recommend to put it in water, to dilute it in water before you mix it in their food or put it in their own water dish or whatever. We tell people just put it in water first. But and the other thing for cats is phytoplankton. Um, Phytoplankton is phenomenal for cats. It's incredible. It's a whole food nutrition. It's got lots of minerals. I feel like a majority of cats are lacking in minerals. They really are in amino acids. So, and they like the taste. It's quite fishy smelling. So you only have to use the teensiest little bit.
Oh, wow.
So, and as a prevention, we have something called Easy Peasy. So for anyone that's scared at all of their cats getting crystals,
Mhm.
Easy Peasy is an amazing proactive approach to interstitial cystitis, which cats get very easily and people don't talk about it a lot, or chronic bladder infections or crystals, you know. So you can rotate through quite a bit. But Felix Flora, Liver Tonic, Phytosynergy, and Easy Peasy, it's called, are four of my favorite cat things. And then Feline Gut Soothe, we have thousands and thousands of people that have written to us that their cats had IBD and they're totally clear now from just using Feline Gut Soothe. And a lot of cat companies, I have an excellent business partner in Adored Beast, and he, the fact I remember putting something out, and someone said, it's incredible that you're actually putting like cat specific products out because it costs a lot of money to do that research and it costs a lot to put something out for cats and it's a very small money making section. Dogs make a lot more money than cats do. So that's why they don't do the research on it. They don't make real specific cat products. It always says dogs and cats. And so our feline gut soothe is just for cats. Our Felix Flora is just for cats. Our liver tonic isn't, and Easy Peasy isn't either. But when I make them with cats in mind, because dogs will eat them, right? It's fine. So when I make a product that I know is for dogs and cats, I'm much more cat specific from a perspective of are they going to eat it? Let's make even a smaller dose.
Mhm.
Let's make this microscopic, the dose, so that they aren't tasting it. Like some of our spoons that we use are, it's like the tiniest little drop, that you're putting in. And that's what I want for cats.
I mean, it really helps because as cat parents, we're always struggling, if you have to give your cat some medicine or something, and it's just, you just want,
Awful.
and this is just, it's very helpful. So thank you for keeping the
Very
cats in
well.
mind first. Ah. Okay, so as we wrap up, if you could give cat parents one key takeaway from reducing toxins in their cat life, what would that be?
So, feeding a fresh, healthy diet and not rendered food. And, and the reason for that is it's a big one, right? The reason for that is because cats are so picky. So more MSGs, more, for lack of better words, crap goes into cat food, way more than dog food, for that exact reason, right? So more flavor enhancers, more chemicals, more all of that stuff. Way, way more goes into that than dog food. So, making sure that either on a really clean, healthy, hopefully non-processed food. Um, and if a cat's dehydrated, they're not going to naturally detoxify. So, fresh, whole, wet, or really high quality home cooked or canned food, not dry. And paying attention to, just like you said, if it smells strong, it's probably not good for your cat. If it's uh, you know, making your floors shine like crazy, it's probably got a layer of something on it that is not good for your cats. So just using, I'm not even gonna, what? What I want to say is that at the end of the day, I honestly feel, like I said before, that our animals are teachers for us, and that our animals unconditionally love us so much that we can use them as a means to create a healthier life for ourselves and our family and the planet, And um, if we pay attention and we shift gears into looking at, does this have a fire retardant on it? Does this have a chemical in it? Wow, it's really stinky. My cat's probably not going to like this. If we look at our world, our house, let's just use our house for now. If we look at our home as our cat's world, right? So not, they don't go to restaurants, they don't do this, they don't go to work, they don't drive around, they don't go for walks. That's our cat's world. If we pay attention to our cat's world from a perspective of going as natural and as less chemical as possible, I can guarantee you, if you're 30 years old or you're 40 years old or you're 50 or you're 60 or you're 20, you are going to be healthier and you are going to have less chronic disease. So if you think of your cat as sort of this like little guide as well to moving into a cleaner lifestyle for your home, you're going to help your cat exponentially. I can't even tell you how much you're going to help your cat. And then you will also help your children or your partners or your husbands or your wives and yourself. Whoever lives in that house will benefit from you paying attention to try and help your cat be healthier, for sure.
I couldn't have said it better than that. Before we close, let's just share with our listeners where can they find your product?
Adored Beast Apothecary. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on www.adoredbeast.com for the US, or adoredbeast.ca for Canada. .com is international. And yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook. We have a really cool Facebook community, and our cat community in it is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so lots of, I just did a all about cats. If they want to look at that, I just did something called an Ask Julie Anything. And we can get up to like 1,000 people on these Ask Julie Anythings. I just cat specific one just
I
last
was
Wednesday.
there. I was there
Oh,
listening.
you were there, yeah.
Yeah.
And We have a lot of YouTube, big YouTube. If you go on YouTube and you look at cat specific things, we talk a lot about, we have a lot of great YouTube videos and stuff on cats.
Wonderful. I think we should always continue the conversation about cats, perhaps in another episode or in another, focusing on another topic.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Julia, this has been such a joy. I truly admire your passion and the care you put into everything you do. So, grazie mille. Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
sharing your wisdom today. And until next time, thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
again.
much. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.